everyone. I'm Tammy Atkins from our Durham, North Carolina office. Today's podcast is all about data analytics, and it's especially for those who are at the beginning of their data analytics journey. You'll hear sage advice on how to get started, where to download data you can practice with, and more. This is an edited audio version of a LinkedIn Live from December 2020 with two experts from different backgrounds. It features the AICPA and CIMA's Kristen Hughes chatting with CPA Jim Gilbert, founder of his CPA firm, Jim Gilbert CPA, and Maria Polieri, who recently retired as the PeopleSoft National Lead for Oracle. The LinkedIn Live answered questions like, why is it important that every CPA has data analytics skills? How and why are firms and businesses using data analytics? And how can CPAs and firms get started? Let's move right to that conversation.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Hear from Your Peers series sponsored by the AICPA and CIMA. We all know that data analytics skills are in high demand among firms and organizations alike. And I have two experts with me today who are going to discuss how CPAs can get started with building their skills in data analytics and positioning for firms to position their practice with offering data analytics services to their clients. So my name is Kristen Hughes. I'm an associate director with the Advisory Services and Credentialing Division of the AICPA. And I'm joined today by Jim Gilbert, who is founder and owner of Jim Gilbert CPA, as well as Maria Polieri, who recently retired and is former PeopleSoft National Business Lead with Oracle. Welcome to both of you. So to kick things off, I wanted to get your views as to why it is important that every CPA develops and has data analytics skills.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In today's world, CPAs need to have data analytics skills. The world is now data, and especially as we've been in the COVID world, we've seen that organizations and people are trying to get to their data. So we need to be leaders of technology, leaders of data analytics, and having the skills, which is what I call the endpoint, which is data. We need to be leaders and have data analytics skills and be able to lead our clients and organizations with the necessary skills to provide necessary information for decision makers overall.
Thanks, Jim. Maria, would you like to weigh in?
Sure. So the other thing, just to add to what Jim said, I think it's important from just a business agility perspective, right? So the ability to stay nimble with technology, and so the ability to identify patterns and observations and then draw conclusions from it. Data analytics is one of the key skills that you need in order to be able to do that.
So to take it another step, can you talk a little bit about how and why firms and organizations are using data analytics today?
So what I find is that it's really important to be able to identify and know what the data sources are. So that's kind of the first step is you need to have some familiarity with the raw data, because a lot of organizations are exponentially growing the amount of data sources that are available, both internally and externally as well. So that's the first thing, is you really need to understand just the breadth and the depth and the magnitude of the data sources, like the raw data that's available. And then number two is to start to do that trend analysis as well. And I think the key benefit as to why businesses are using data analytics is to be able to identify predictively an action that needs to be taken or a decision today that will drive the future based on historical trends or performance. So, the ability to sort of mine that data and predict the future is definitely at hand. And that's kind of the key value as well. Just to get a deeper understanding from a client's perspective as well. So if you're in the public sector or in public practice, the ability to understand your client's business needs, where they're going, and just offer, that incremental business value.
Thank you, Maria. Also, I think organizations strategically want to look at data analytics as a sustainability tool. We need the data. We need data to all our decision makers, top to bottom, throughout the organization. And this creates having data analytics and predictive analytics and some of those tools that are out there, provides a framework for people to make decisions. So this is kind of the tip of the spear at this point, as I've talked about. And, having the information real time, not yesterday's data, today's data to make decisions, creates a sustainable environment for employees and decision makers and companies overall. And just being a CPA, having data analytics and work with clients and organizations, it provides a framework for discussions, analysis, looking at the data, looking for opportunities to work with clients and help them get better. In my firm, we talk about people, process, and systems, and part of that whole three-legged stool is data analytics and access to data that's quality data that's disseminated in the fashion that I'm looking for, my clients are looking for.
And I've got a couple examples as well, Jim. Maybe we'll just walk through those.
Sure.
One involves report writing and one doesn't. So the first example of where data analytics can provide that predictive value is it's important to know that the more data that you accumulate, the more value there is, and the ability to identify trends and patterns becomes more prevalent. So a good example would be AP coding of invoices. So that's typically, in a lot of large organizations, there's either a manual process or sort of a process built in to allow for invoices to be coded by sending them out to various members within the organization. And so the ability to mine the data and have the system predict to you what a valid chart of account string is very valuable, right? It streamlines the payment processing, and then it makes, maybe cash discounts available as well. So there's actually hard dollar savings to be had by streamlining a process, by having the system recommend a particular course of action. So that's one example. And another example that comes to mind on the reporting side is the ability for you to sort of not have to learn all of the sort of proprietary report writing skills that are inherent with sort of the older generation. So what happens now is, based on the volume of data that's presented to you, the system can potentially identify what the best way is to visually represent that. So data visualization is a key piece, and the system tells you, well, this is best represented in a donut chart, or in a linear representation or a bubble chart, and the data is automatically created in that visual representation without you having to learn those report writing skills. So, picture tells 1,000 words, and so the ability to actually draw conclusions from a very rich visual is just so much more efficient than having to analyze and build the report that you think maybe represents that data best. So two good examples there.
Great, thank you, Maria. Jim, did you have any examples?
Yeah, a couple things to add on. We could go for a couple hours here, but real quickly, I think the dashboards and the visuals really help tell the story, right? You use those things. A picture is 1,000 words. So I often use that with my clients to, with board people and various other people in the organization, to kind of show them how it looks instead of having to look at the data specifically. And then, with data analytics, there's opportunities in an organization in lots of different data sets. A lot of people think it's just an ERP system. It could be a CRM system, an HR system, a project management system, bidding and estimating systems. You can start to pull data from lots of different sections of the business where data is coming from, which will really help you and your clients understand where they're going with their business.
Great. Thank you both for those examples. What advice would you have for a CPA who's just getting started in data analytics and really is looking to build up their skill set in that area?
What I would recommend as a CPA to look at data analytics, there is lots of training out there. If you pick a mainstream tool like Microsoft Power BI, and get some training around that, get some conceptual baseline training for that. There's programs like Udemy and Coursera and lots of different service offerings that are very inexpensive. Get some training, take some webinars, and start to look at the conceptual, the overall, what is data analytics, what's business intelligence, what are all the tools that are out there, and learn one tool, start to understand it, and then begin to use the tool within your own environment and your own data that you understand. If your data, your ERP system has an API connection that Power BI or Tableau or Burst, or there's numerous amount of tools out there. Look at your own data and start to work through the training you have. Start to build some of the graphics that Maria was talking about, all the different graphical representations, and then mine the data and start to look at it and start the journey. And there's it can get progressively more technical as you go, but it's not a big heavy lift at all to get started.
One of the questions that's come in is understanding what you all are using to analyze data in your daily lives.
What I find interesting, and we haven't really touched on this topic yet, is in addition to, where Jim was going was, all of the free training to get familiar with the tools. But what I learned when I started was the amount of open data or public data that is available. So, for example, in my city, I live in Toronto, Canada, my municipality, we have, as all governments do, open data policy. So I'm able to actually download data sets that are relevant to me in my neighborhood and analyze that and offer insights into my own neighbors. So when I go, power walking with, my neighbor a couple doors away or chit-chatting with somebody elderly on my street, I'm able to actually provide insights to them in terms of a whole bunch of different types of data. It could be tied to the geography, it could be tied to maintenance. It could be tied to crime. It could be tied to business development, new restaurants that are opening up, stop signs that are being proposed. There's a lot of information right in my backyard that I'm able to offer insights to people that I deal with every day.
I'd add on to that, Kristen. So, you asked what tool we use. I often will take one of the 3 or 4 tools that I use often and see how quickly I can connect to the data set. It could be something simple as an Excel document. It could be the open data format. And the first thing when I walk into a client shop, the first thing I want to ask them is, can I connect with one of your ERP system or some of your data sets so I can start to look at the data? Because as Maria said, I don't want to have to learn Crystal reports or any of those other things. The new reporting methodology nowadays is data analytics and BI tools and that kind of stuff. And they're very simple with some basic understanding and training to connect to these data sources and start to look at it and see what it looks like. And over time, you get more and more comfortable as you go. We as CPAs, we're already analytical. We have the financial background. We know how to look at data. We already know how to do that. We're trained CPAs. And, and adding a tool that's a first-class tool to look at that data really helps you become a comprehensive and a full-on CPA that has a lot of advisory services and ability to look at data and help clients.
Thank you, Jim and Maria. Another question that came in is whether you think the rise of data analytics will lessen or increase the importance of other skills or knowledge, such as risk management, regulation, business strategy, etc.
I can take that one first, Jim, if you'd like. I don't see them as sort of two sides to a scale. I see it as sort of a fundamental understanding that is more pervasive as it relates to the other areas of discipline. So if I were to put my risk hat on, having those data analytical skills will help me to enable to identify risk areas. So it's not a one or the other. I think it's a fundamental skill set that will actually strengthen you across all of the CPA disciplines.
Thanks, Maria. We've talked a little bit about how CPAs can build their skills within data analytics to offer those services to their clients. When we think more broadly about a firm practice, what does a firm need to be thinking about when they're building that capability in-house? Jim, would you want to start with that one, and then we'll have Maria weigh in?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my firm, when we started out this several years ago, the first thing that I said is we've got to get training. We've got to get a base level training for all of our staff. And we started, all the staff members, we started work on base level understanding of data analytics, the BI tools, and how they work. And then we said, what's the next step? Well, let's mine our own data. Let's look at our own data, and let's get good at these tools. And let's just start building time. With time, it gets better and better. And then, the AICPA has data analytics certificates. There's a number of third-party data analytics certificates and trainings. There's a lot of universities that provide first-class training. To get a certificate from Stanford University in data analytics looks pretty good. And you develop that competency, just like we as CPAs, when we have CPA behind our name, we can put that in our statement of qualifications that we use it in our own system. We walk the walk, and we also have developed the skill set and the certifications and trainings to do that, which again is not that difficult, and it's fun. So to me, it's a lot of fun to learn that, because it's a tool that I use just no different than I use my computer every day. That's the tool I use when I start to look at data and analyze data every day.
Yeah, and I think what's also important is we've got sort of two perspectives with Jim and I, right? Because we have different backgrounds. And so one thing I just really want to make sure that everyone understands is a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the vendors, right? So I work for Oracle. There's a lot of technology vendors that offer data analytic capabilities. And a lot of the heavy lifting is done by those IT service providers. Mm-hmm. So, we look at things like preceding content based on content that is generally available. We look at standard metrics and KPIs and dashboards that are all pre-built out of the box. And then the other key thing that is really important today, because we're talking 2020 and forward, is just the whole user experience, right? That's a key, because I worked in product strategy and product development. That's a key requirement. So we make sure that when we're designing data analytic platforms and solutions, that they can just be uptaken. As long as you have sort of a curiosity, and to me, that's really a key skill. It's not a skill, I guess it's just a way of thinking. So as long as you have that curiosity, you can pick up the tool and get going. So it's not like, when this started about 2012, I remember reading a Harvard Business Review article about how data scientists were going to become sort of the new key career path for, folks embarking on their career. Now it's the everyday scientist. And even that term is actually even trending for a while there on social media, because the ability to become a data scientist does not require coding anymore. Mm-hmm. It just requires an appetite to consume the data and curiosity to get done as far as what is available. So don't be shy. These are very inexpensive solutions. You can get hands-on 30-day trials. A lot of them, have very, very similar features and functions. So pick one. If you're comfortable, jumping into the business realm right away, you can. Otherwise, start just playing around with an example the three of us were talking about the other day was airline data. So if you want to learn how to build a dashboard or how to provide insights, you can download airline data sets and start identifying trends in terms of delays, cause and effect to maybe weather patterns, and you're off and running. And then that'll give you the confidence to jump into something maybe a little bit more business specific.
Thank you. We've talked a little bit about what steps to take for both an individual who's a CPA as well as a firm to get started with data analytics. This next PowerPoint slide kind of summarizes that. The first step, obviously, is to get a baseline understanding of what data analytics is, and to build your skill set in that area. The second step is to explore data resources and sources of data within an organization. The third step is to articulate the value. So this is where, and there are a few questions that came in around this, so I'm going to ask Jim and Maria to both weigh in on this. But how do you best articulate the value of data analytics, whether it's within your own organization or with clients that you're working with, to encourage them to take that step to begin implementing a data analytics solution?
Maria, I can start on this one. So, the first thing I do with clients when I engage clients, and one of the first opportunities is as I talk about an opportunity to get to your own data. How do I do that? How do I get to my own data so I can make decisions? And what's an opportunity for the board of directors, managers, line employees, that kind of stuff. I talk about how report writing and some of those other skills we used to have are becoming less and less needed. And our source of truth is our data. So what's the best way to get there? Best way to get to our data and disseminate it to folks is the value is, using a data analytics tool, and don't care what it is, get connected to your data, provide across the board comprehensively to whoever needs that, define what you need and look at that value. I was just at a client yesterday and they were asking me, should we work on this proprietary report writer and disseminate reports and email things to people? And the first thing I said to them, I said, owners, guys and gals, I said, the thing you have to think about, that's great to have reports, but that's static information. To have a data analytics tool that you can get to and connect to your data and all sources of data is where you want to be at. You want to be able to drill down. So a lot of these tools have drill down capabilities. The client I was at yesterday, we can get down to the most raw data that Maria talked about and go all the way back up to summary and create that visualization, those graphs and charts and those kind of things. And so that's where the value is in streamlining the process. Our job is to get to the day we're going to collect, aggregate, integrate, and get quality data. And for everybody, that's the tool. We're no longer going to log into our ERP system. We're going to go right in our data analytics tool and get to our data. And what I get jazzed about it is you can connect your ERP, your CRM system, HR systems, project management, estimating. We can start to collect and pool data and compare side by side. That's where the real value, that's where it gets me excited every day. And that's yesterday. And there was an aha moment in a room yesterday. And everybody's like, wow, we didn't know we could do that. And so, just changing that mindset of how we used to do it to what we're doing today. And today's mainstream tool are data analytics BI tools. That's what we need to do on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you for that input, Jim.
Sure.
The last thing that we wanted to do, as we're wrapping things up here, is talk about the resources that are available to them to help them get started with building data analytics skills. So one thing you should try and take advantage of between now and the end of the year, December 31st, there's a data analytics course within our digital mindset pack that is free as a CPA offering. We also have interactive ebooks, blogs, and podcasts that you can search for on our website. As Jim mentioned, we do have data analytics certificate programs that you may be interested in looking into. And then ultimately, for those that really want to dive deeper into the technology area, including data analytics and business intelligence, you can learn more about our CITP credential that we offer to AICPA members. So thank you all so much for joining us today for this session. And I want to thank Jim and Maria for participating today and sharing all of your expertise. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season, and we'll look forward to seeing you on a future Hear From Your Peers session.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond Disruption, brought to you by the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Learn more about today's topic at AICPA-CIMA.com/disruption. This podcast is designed to provide illustrative information with respect to the subject matter covered and does not represent an official opinion or position of the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. It is provided with the understanding that the association, its affiliates, and subsidiaries are not engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other professional services. If such advice or expert assistance is required, the services of a competent professional person should be sought. The association, its subsidiaries, and affiliates make no representations, warranties, or guarantees as to and assume no responsibility for the content or application of the material contained herein, and expressly disclaim all liability for such damages arising out of the use of, reference to, or reliance on such material.